Again, my name is Connor Benner. I run this blog, Streets Department. How many of you have heard of it before? Okay. No, thanks. I'll clap for myself. Streets Department is a local photo blog that highlights and celebrates graffiti and street art in and around the city of Philadelphia. That's one of my favorite artists right now. Her name is Old Broads. She does these amazing wheat pastes that look at how we sexualize women in public spaces, and she kind of satires that with some real images of actual women. Of course, I'm probably more popular now for my Instagram account, which has a bunch of followers and highlights the same content as the blog, but also highlights architecture, Philly people, and Philly public spaces more generally. I've been asked to guest host today by Peter Heacock, again, to underline the theme of today's talk, collaboration. And you know, from its early inception, Streets Department was a surprisingly collaborative experiment. So yes, I am the only team member of Streets Department, Inc., which it's not called that, it's just Streets Department. The blog started with me just running around the city, photographing things, and highlighting street art and graffiti that I loved and putting it on my blog. But while it did start that way with just me, it didn't really kick off until it became more of a collaborative effort. I didn't really start getting the attention that I have now until I started making it more collaborative. And the collaboration that I'm talking about is with artists. Let me start that again. Can someone get me a coffee? Collaboration can look different for everyone, right? So collaboration for me is having artists reach out to me. Initially, they were just thanking me for highlighting their content. And then it turned into them saying, hey, I put up a piece last night in Northern Liberties, would you like to go photograph it? And it evolved into them saying, hey, would you like to come out and photograph me installing my piece? So this collaboration really helped push my blog forward, and the first person to reach out and invite me along to one of their installations was Ishnitz. Do any of you remember this photo or this installation that she did? You can raise your hand. So this was in 2011. She yarn bombed the blue line, the Market Frankfurt line. She was an up-and-coming yarn bomber. At the time, yarn bomb was completely new. She invited me to come along, and at first I was really hesitant. I thought, what is yarn bombing? I literally had to Google it. I was really hesitant to go. I thought it pushed me out of my comfort zone to go photograph people doing things live. I thought maybe this is illegal, maybe she'll get arrested, who knows. But the photos from this really helped push her as an up-and-coming artist and helped push me as an up-and-coming blogger. This is the final piece. She did a number of these on the L, and that's probably the only time you'll ever see the L empty anymore, considering it's so busy. The photos from this blew up. Like I said, Juxtapose wrote about it. It was published in Time magazine. Newsweek wrote about it. The photos ended up on blogs around the world. I don't even know what language that is. Does anyone know what language that is? Hebrew? Mazel tov? I dated a Jewish person once. And at the end of that year, it was even published in the very last print edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica, which, blew my mind. There it is right there, her yarn bomb of the Rocky statue that says, go see the art. The Philadelphia Museum of Art loved that because it's ridiculous that people stand in lines outside the museum and then don't go see the actual art that's in there. Everyone always loves that. And you know, the collaborative relationship between photographers and street artists is nothing new. So in the history, in the 30, 40-year history of street art and graffiti, modern history of it, this is a very ephemeral art form. So street artists and graffiti artists would call on their photographer friends to come photograph their art because they knew it could just go away instantly. Ishnitz is a great example of that because I don't think there's been a piece of hers, aside from one tree yarn bombing in Rittenhouse Square, that hasn't come down within a few days, and in this instance, a few minutes. Yeah, so The security guards were actually watching us install, or watching her install and watching me photograph. They were very kind. They let it happen. They smiled. One even took a photo. But the second we walked away, they come and snapped it down. Yeah. So this relationship between street artists, graffiti artists, and photographers is really mutually beneficial. So I can go out and capture their artwork while it's still fresh, while it's new, and sort of preserve that memory. And in the age of social media, that relationship has gotten even more powerful. So now I can have a following. I can have people follow me on Twitter and Instagram. The artists can have their own following. They can have a following on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And when I document their work, they can push their audience to my blog to come see how I documented their installation, and I can push my audience to learn more about them. Collaboration is very powerful in that sense. It's helped made my blog what it is. It's helped let more people see it than if I was just a fanboy going around, running around, photographing things. And it's really helped push me and I think a lot of Philly artists to new levels. It's also really powerful, and that's why Peter Heacock and I have collaborated on a few things leading up to today's talk. Did you guys see this photo on Instagram or Facebook? Raise your hand if it's, oh, thank you. Raise your hand if this photo is part of the reason why you're here. We got a few people. Or this GIF. So we collaborated on a few, what, yeah?
His name is pronounced
Heacock. Have I been what about Heacock? What have I been saying?
Heacock.
Even right before this, I
Yeah,
said, tell me.
yeah, that's my aunt, by the way.
Hi, Aunt. What's your name?
Carol Heacock.
Love it.
My nephew.
He's amazing. Notice none of my family's out here today. My boyfriend, but he has to come. So, again, to wrap this up, collaboration has been really powerful for me. It's helped push me to new levels. It's helped me step outside of my comfort zone, and it's helped push my blog to places I never thought it could go. And it helped get all of you out here today enjoying this fine coffee, fine food, and fine talk. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce you to today's speaker who will talk more about this in more enlightened ways, perhaps, Peter Heacock.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all. My name is Peter Heacock. That is my family. Bink and Maureen Heacock and the boisterous Carol Heacock hen. I am founder and creative director of Unpopular Now. Does anybody know what Unpopular Now is? My aunt didn't know what it was. My family barely knows what it is. It's a mobile marketing production company and talent agency. And we're based in Old Kensington, just north of Girard on Hancock Street. We wanted to thank CreativeMornings, Blue Cadet. Josh Goldblum has been extremely generous to me. Conrad's been awesome to work with and really did a great job pushing this event. The coffee, yeah, I'm getting geeked out. It's working. So much thanks to Concave, Pure Fare, and Philadelphia Center for the Architecture for the Roof. Our theme is collaboration. And I really can't stress this enough. My company would not exist without collaborating online. And I really think that it's more important now than ever. It's really the key to enjoying your modern existence. And the reason why I say that is because there are no shared experiences now, or there's a lot less. Back in the day, we all saw, I don't know, Back to the Future. I just saw Karate Kid the other day. That movie sucks, but we've all seen it. And every single scene, we could recount every single scene. If you wanted to watch TV on a Saturday afternoon, you had Kung Fu. That's it. And now I literally logged on to my friend's Periscope as he searched for his stolen iPhone and he led it to a drug dealer's house. You can watch anything. It's totally insane. And so what that has led to is something that looks like this. I'm sure all of you can identify with this. This is everybody's experience. I'm working on something so beautiful right now, can't you tell? It's going to be amazing. It's going to be seen by hundreds of thousands of people. Can't you tell? We're so isolated. We just sit at our screen and we have this illusion of these shared experiences or that we have some audience. But that's what it looks like. So my point here today is to help give you some tools that you can reach through that screen and start to work with other people and make connections that eventually will lead to real life experiences and relationships with folks. And in my instance, start a business where you could support your family and a few other people as well. So I started off with First Capital Pictures a long time ago. Me and my buddy started it. I really like that logo, and I'm sad to see it go. But we did commercials like the American Sardine Bar commercial. Does anybody see that? Or the Kensinger commercial? We thought that it would be fun to, make a commercial for local businesses that people liked, that we liked. There was no budget, but we really just wanted it to do well. And they did well. Philadelphia Brewing Company has a decent-sized audience. We had an okay-sized audience. The commercial was good, but then they had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to push it on Comcast. Comcast is a total ripoff. And in the end, it wasn't this. Everybody snickers, everybody knows what this is. Because this commercial went insanely viral. And I looked at my commercials and I thought that they were failures because nobody saw them. And I looked at this and I was like, how did they do that? It's so weird and it haunts your dreams. And it's about ice cream. It's not really even about little babies. It's about your worst nightmare meeting the thing you love most. And I wanted to figure out how to make things go viral. I wanted to figure out how to make people see my stuff. And right around that time, this little app that I downloaded from the App Store came out. It's called Vine. A friend just texted me. It was like a helicopter, one of those little droney helicopters. He's like, hey, you should check out Vine. And I was like, all right, I heard about it. So I downloaded the app. I started seeing stuff that people were posting, Adam Goldberg, and the early days of Vine were just amazing. It was mostly artwork. Comedy hadn't yet taken over. And I just really enjoyed it. And I had a young son at the time, and he had no choice but to be in my Vines, because he was, 4 or 5 months old at this time. I don't know if this is loud enough. Son, we need to talk. Sometimes when a man and love love each other very much and they drink too much gin on their honeymoon. Wait, let me start over. So, this is actually a true story. This was definitely the first one that did very well. And I was like, oh, you can actually tell a story in 6 seconds. This is amazing. Up until this point, I was just sort of capturing everyday life. And that's how the creators of Vine wanted it to be at first, too, just capturing everyday life. But then people figured out that you could tell these little stories. And because you could tell stories, people caught onto it more. And they were entertained by it. So Vine started to transform into more of an entertainment network as opposed to a documentative experience. And so I started making more comedy because it worked. So this one went crazy viral. This was like top 10 in the world. And just to be able to see my stuff as like the top 10 in the world, you're looking at this and you're like scrolling down, you're like, there I am. So I became totally hooked after that. And right around that time, I was starting to get a little bit of nibbles of people saying, hey, might you want to make some vines for us? And I just started trying to push myself to make a vine a day. That was the goal. Sometimes I made 2 or 3 a day. Sometimes I took 6 months to make a vine. This was before you could upload stuff. So this was sitting in my phone for 6 months. And you know, time is still magic to people. So that was, you know, one thing that I figured out from this. This is a waste of paper. The thing that I love most about Vine is what you could do with nothing. I made this Vine with push to record. You could hold your finger on the screen and take your finger off the screen. And that was the only tool that you had in order to record this. And then the internet loves Nutella more than they love cats. So my son, this took forever to get it just right and get the music to loop while it's playing. It's, oh God, what a nightmare. But this one went crazy. And then this one here definitely got me a headache, but it also got me an editor's pick. And to date, I think it has, I don't know, 400,000 likes or something, and has been viewed 30 million times or something insane. But this one's better. And then I made more, and then I made more, and then I made more. And to date, I've made, I don't know, over 600 of them, included branded vines and things like that. And all the while that I was making these, you started seeing snippets on Twitter and on Facebook. People started friending you and just tagging me, hey man, I love your vines. Oh, I really like your stuff too. And really what it reminded me of, kind of like the first day of college. Oh, hey, you know, what's your name? What do you do? That's amazing. And everybody's amazing and interesting and doing excellent work. And before I knew it, I was basically a part of this community. And all of these people were my friends. And we've all teamed up in this one little secret community on Facebook. And all these people were nobody at the time. I mean, the guy in the upper left-hand corner, Jerome, is basically internationally famous now. Some of these folks are no longer with us. Some of these folks are really good friends. And we would basically talk to each other on Facebook and bitch about Vine, or, you know, help come up with ideas, support each other. You know, a way to get out of our, you know, little existence of just clicking and whatever. We would share videos on Facebook. That was really weird. Like, instead of typing out a message, just film yourself. And then all of a sudden, they felt more real because they were. And one day I had an idea. And so that was on June 5th, 2013. And basically the idea was, why don't we create a network where we all have a login to the same account? We all know the password. The password was Vingina. It was really funny to ask like these huge lady Viners later on, oh yeah, what's the password? Oh God, it's Vingina, I'm sorry. And you would log in and you would just create whatever you wanted, really. Those previous vines that I created, people just logged in and created a vine that was just their name. And then we started showing behind the scenes. And then we started curating. Well, first we launched the site on June 11th, 2013. And then we started coming up with challenges. So we always used our hashtag OnPop, and then it would be OnPop Remake. This is one funny one.
Yo, bitch, we need to cook. Yo, bitch, we need to cook.
So that's Josh. He's definitely, I think he's the most popular dad on Vine. He's a good bud. And he's really good at like showcasing his family, which the fact that he collaborates with his family opens him up to so many more people. And people would use the hashtag and submit posts, and then we began sharing them and really just supporting people that were interested in what we were doing. This Vine kills. This Vine has like 210,000 likes, has been looped at least 100 million times. During Shark Week, it explodes every year. It's so insane. And this is a Vine that somebody made for us. But she tagged us, so now every time somebody shares it, like that's all our notifications are. And then something happened. So if you're aware of your surroundings online and you begin to research who's doing good things, you can break through walls that are normally put up. So this is somebody from Vine. It was actually like on a second day. He's the head of creative. That's Jeremy. And he just shared one of Target's Vines. Target makes amazing Vines to this day. But back in the day, they weren't uploading. They were making everything in app, but they were making some of the best stuff. And I did research as to who that person was. So I quickly responded and said, yeah, Target makes magic, and hey, Travis and his team are amazing. Travis immediately wrote back and was just like, oh, we really like you guys at Unpopular Now. Now this is the guy, you know when you go to Target and there's like the up brand with the arrow? He made that. And this guy is, saying, hey, let's have a chat. And then he's like, oh, maybe we want to enter one of your contests. So Target made a Vine for our contest. And that blew my mind. And it's a really good Vine. And they had somebody from our crew come out to their headquarters and like just show the behind the scenes of how they do it and stuff. And that ended up leading to this, which to this day is still my favorite of all of our collaborations and our favorite campaign. So basically we got 3 mystery items and 1 all the same, which is clearly the Hulk hands. That was crazy. And these are the numbers. I had the numbers as of like 4 months ago, so they've only grown. And one of the most amazing thing about it is we had the community established. Target opened themselves up to being okay with that. Not only were they okay with that, they were super supportive and collaborative of it. They revined so many vines that they probably shouldn't have. Somebody made a vine of a Target box showing up with raw meat, change, and a dirty diaper. And then at the end, he goes to lick the dirty diaper. Target shared it. I mean, that's amazing. And this was right after the whole credit card scandal or whatever. Like, they're amazing over there. And like, they reaped amazing benefits from it. And the fact that all those people were willing to make vines and just put stuff out there, I mean, you can't pay for that kind of advertising. So Target then led to Twitter, which then led to these guys. And that was 2014. And we've only grown. We've done a lot of agency work, but we've picked up and started to do even more production work in-house. We definitely specialize in stop motion, but also sort of special effects, basically whatever the client wants. We do Vines, Instagrams, pre-rolls for YouTube. And that commercial, that Little Babies commercial, you know, I've figured out a way to make the stuff go viral and to make commercials while doing it and sustain myself. And then one of the great benefits of all this is that I've gotten to meet these folks in real life. And these are lasting relationships, you know? I can hit them up anytime online, they respond, they, you know, make videos, we have fun. We teamed up with Mashful to host sort of the first Vine meetup, and 70 or so folks showed up. Some of the most creative folks I've ever met in one room. And we made, I think 100 vines were made that night, and 200 or 300 vines were made leading up to that night. Pinot sketched me. I mean, come on, that's so awesome. That should loop, but it doesn't. Simply Silvia is a good buddy. I don't know if you guys follow the gorilla on Vine, but he's the best. I'm just pissed that Pee-wee didn't share this, but so the takeaways. We guys promised that you guys would learn actual things today. So first off, you have to be good. You don't need to be great, but you have to be good. You need to take good pictures. You need to know how to frame things. You need to know how to tell a story. You need to know how to light a little bit. But if you're decent, then you just need to be nice and you need to be consistent. So post every day. Post a picture. If you're consistent, the picture should sort of look the same. Or a variation on a theme, or you know, take a chip off of our block and do a theme for a month and then move on to something else. And when you're sharing this, be nice. If people reach out to you and say, great, thank them. You know, be courteous. This is social media, and because we don't see this as being a real place, nobody is ever nice or courteous. Just thanks so much. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following along. Thanks for your eyeballs. Be generous. If you like somebody and the stuff that they do and you want to work with them, then reach out to them. And don't just say, hey, great, or ha 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 ha. You know, get what they're doing. You know, give them, you know, show them that you know the context in which they're doing it, and recognize them, because they will then most likely, you know, either follow you back or hit you up or something. And especially if you're consistently generous, then maybe you guys can become friends. But, you know, if you see somebody in the hall and you're just like, hey, nice shoes, you know, like, the person will probably say thank you. But if they're consistently nice to you, you know, when you go to that party and that person that's just really good at engaging you, and you're like, you know what, I want to talk to that person because that person asked me really good questions. Same thing online. Be consistent. I can't stress this enough. Even though I hate being consistent, I hate it. If you look at my vines, they're all over the place. I've got stop motion, I got stuff with my kid, I've got comedy, I got art, I got dark, weird shit. That doesn't always work. It's hard for people to follow along. I do recommend doing that, but I recommend that with extreme trepidation. So it's better to be consistent. And share. If you like something, share it with your followers. People really, really appreciate that. And why not share it? I mean, what do you have to lose? This is something that's great, you know? Who shares all the stuff online? Mostly like news organizations and now all these blogs that have popped up, but like, take it from Conrad. Share stuff, because people will love it, you know? Be relatable, obviously. Anybody who knows social media, be relatable. But if you want to take it up another game, you should collaborate, and then you can sort of escape from being relatable to being relatable as fuck. Because when you collaborate with somebody else, not only do you meet somebody new, and that makes your work better, but their audience understands what that person does. And now that that person has chosen to work with you, or wants to work with you, and then they see the blending of the two, then you become relatable as fuck, because they know that guy, and that guy knows you, then why shouldn't they want to know you? And that's a definite way to grow your audience, and to grow your audience in the best way possible. Collaborate with yourself. This sounds a little dirty. But I pushed myself from the beginning of Vine to do things that were outside of my comfort zone, and therefore collaborating with somebody that I didn't really know. Stop motion, I'd never done it before. I did most of my special effects in the computer. I pushed myself to actually make things and to make craft, because Vine wouldn't allow uploads. So the collaboration with myself allowed me to get better at what I did. And understanding why things went viral and doing the research of that, it opened me to places that I never thought that I would be able to go, and be able to reach an audience that I never thought would be possible. So really challenge yourself to see if you can do things that you're not comfortable with. And I think you'll really reap the benefits from it. So you'll start off from here, which is such a shitty Vine. And you end up someplace like this. That's it.
Thank you so much to Peter Heacock.
Thank you, Conrad.
Can you hear me a little bit? That was fantastic and really helpful, really insightful. One of the, just listening to that again, because we talked about all of this stuff yesterday, one more takeaway I'd just add is to not be afraid to fail. Do you think that that's kind of true?
Yeah, absolutely.
For my mind, stuff so hard.
Well, you know, that's what when you were saying how kind of crappy you were, which he was not ever crappy. At the beginning of all this, you really just put yourself out there, and you know, you produce some stuff that you end up loving years later, but still pushing yourself, failing.
Yeah, that's super relatable as fuck. Falling flat on your face is like, oh my god, people love that. People love that. And if you have the courage to put that out there, people will love it.
So we have about 10 minutes left. We'd love to open it up to a little Q&A if you have any questions, since we already have someone here. Yeah. I'm going to be running around the ball Barker style while we're recording this, so wait to say your answer until I have the microphone in front of you. Face the camera.
So, good design, 99% of good design is totally hidden away, so you really don't see that last bit.
99%.
Yeah, so you draw on your background as a documentary filmmaker to take.
How do you know that?
I was talking to your parents. Very sweet. To take what would maybe normally be a long story and condense it down to 6 seconds.
Yeah.
What's your process like to be able to do something?
It's no longer a process, but it was really, really hard to do. Yeah, I mean, we used to make like feature-length documentaries and things, you know, that would take forever to unfold, 2 or 3 years, and then you put it out there and like, you know, 500 people would see it. I had to cobble my brain into this hole and smush it in there. And then once I was in there, I kind of was able to push it out and make it much bigger. But it took a long time to figure out how to do that. And I kind of regret the process because now I'm in there and I want to get back to sort of the longer form stuff. But it's a discipline. You have to be obsessed with it, for good or bad.
Yeah, I think any other Instagrammers in the room might tell you, sometimes I edit those photos for 40 minutes. My boyfriend can tell you. It doesn't, you know, what might seem really effortless. Yeah. Sometimes the things that seem the most effortless take the most time. Yeah. It's really about being a little particular about it. Any other questions? Raise your hand. You have to have so many questions for today. Oh, we got one in the back. Oh no! Am I walking over here?
You started out as a very creative person, and then you grew a business. How would you describe the transition from doing just creative stuff to having a big client list?
Not hard. I was really lucky to sort of be on the forefront of this, and the trick with social media is you have the audience, and a lot of brands have figured out that the best way to utilize that audience is to trust you to make what you make, and then that the advertising is kind of secondary. Because if they want you to do it a certain way, it's not going to do as well. So one of the great things about what I do is people trust me enough to make what I think will be right. And just as though I enjoy trying to figure out how to put myself into this box, I enjoy trying to figure out how to put myself into their box and make something really good out of it. So a lot of times some of my best ideas come from their directives, and then, you know, that's the collaborative process. Is, all right, we need you to do this. Well, okay, now that I'm there and I'm in your headspace, how do I make it creative? So, you know, I find it to be a good challenge just in terms of pushing my style. And it's easier than you think. Some clients are horrible, and that's not easy, but most of them are really good.
Just to build on that, you know, social media is really the Wild West still with brands. When you sort of bring yourself in the social space, brands are looking to people like that, people, I guess like us, who have proven themselves in the space to help them create content, to help them understand how to take advantage of these spaces that they really don't know how to take advantage of, but where there are millions of consumers every single day looking. So that's step one, so improving yourself in the space. And step two is doing exactly what you did and you talked about in your slide, which is making yourself as available to opening these conversations as possible. You actually tweeted someone from Twitter. You tweeted Twitter or
Target.
Target.
Twitter hit me up on Facebook. What do you guys do?
So if your goal is to work with brands, I mean, learn the platform, prove yourself on the platform, and then reach out to them. Maybe make a mock Target commercial. See how they'll use it.
Yeah, I mean, social media is doing things at spec every day. So why not make something that's, what do you want to do? Make it. Do you want to work with that person? I don't know. Be a fanboy, make some fan art. They love it. We're working on this animation right now for kind of like Hogwarts meets Game of Thrones intro. And like, we're totally doing it, just be like J.K. Rowling.
It's surprisingly effective.
It works. Because all these people are online. And then somebody's like, I love you, and here's something that's awesome. It blows their mind that somebody was so thoughtful.
And that's the thing too, is so few people actually put effort into creating content for social media. And it's like, here we go, and then hashtag. You take even the modest amount of effort to curating the content you put on social media, you go far. It looks like I'm being wrapped up. Does anyone have a quick question we can answer in 1 minute, 1 second?
When did you stop editing the ad?
Oh, fuck, we're gonna go there. Okay. So, I don't know if you folks know this, but on Vine you couldn't upload for a while. And there's this huge subculture of Vine. It's called all natural vines. And people started breaking into Vine, and the true Vine purists only did push to record. And I did it forever, even though all my ideas involve special effects. So I tried to figure out practical special effects, like the marble one. That was my shtick. And then one day I was trying to do this story called Tiny Tape, and it necessitated me flying away. And I didn't have enough time to do it in app, and I did it, and I uploaded. And I almost blew up. I felt like I had betrayed myself and my community. It was so stupid. And then I didn't upload again for another 6 months. And then a lot of brand stuff I said, fuck that, I'm just gonna upload, this makes it easier. So I don't know exactly when I started uploading more regularly, but I started being more okay with it. To be honest, a lot of the stuff that I do now, I make within the same constraints. Very little editing. I don't know exactly when. If you tweet me that question, I could show you the examples of those vines. But not until really
The upload feature came about that I start doing that more regularly.
And to be honest, I make a lot more stuff now that I don't upload. Just because it's more fun. Constraints, lead to style. People like style.
Cool, so I think we're actually out of time for today. We'll be hanging around for a few extra minutes if you have questions. Come up and talk to us, or tweet us, or ask us for coffee.
Yeah. If any of you have questions for either of us, just tweet at us. And use the hashtag so everybody can kind of join in on the questions, and I'll answer every single one.
Thank you again to Peter Heacock for speaking.